break it all down for you. I ain't never giving up, I ain't never giving up. Taking that crown from you. I ain't worried about you, I ain't never. So let me break it all down for you. I ain't never giving up, I ain't never giving up. I'm taking that crown from you. I ain't worried about you, I ain't here to make.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Opinions of the Uninformed. I'm here again, as always, Jay Firefly Zero, along with to my side, Rich.
LiveConvoy on Instagram. How you all doing?
All right, and TJ.
Hey, proper TJ over here.
Right, so as always, we are still discussing The Last of Us TV show by HBO Max. We'll be discussing this week's episode, which is episode 7, Left Behind. It aired on February 27th, 2023. It runs approximately 55 minutes. Director was Lisa Johnson. Writers were Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin. Again, also, as always, stars Pedro Pascal, Belly Ramsey, and this week, Storm Reed. So, guys, I have only just recently watched it. I was a little bit late this week. What do you think? Obviously, this is very much the DLC. So some people that would have played just the vanilla game.
Mr. TJ said.
Yeah. See, some people which have just played the DLC, just played the main game, obviously may never have seen this story. And I do think it is a little integral, even though it came, I think it was approximately a year after the original release of the game. So I understand totally why you've got to put this into the series.
Because you've got a complete story, haven't you?
Well, that's it. You've got to at least set up who Ellie is and who she was and how she got bitten and, you know, how all this really came to pass, how she got under the Firefly's radar. Don't forget that if you can imagine how one girl who was just in the middle of an outbreak come under someone like the Fireflies thing. I mean, there could have been other people that could have potentially cured it, but in a raid, it's not like you can check that immediately, so people really got shot. So this whole circumstance does set up the entirety of the game. Without this occurring, then no one would have known that Ellie was immune to the virus that I can't remember the name of because it's a weird C word. Yeah, called placentus virus. So anyway, let me. That's sort of my overview on it. I will say that this I think has been one of the lower rated ones. I don't know whether that's just because of the supposed controversial kiss, which again the game sort of came under fire at the time. Because people can't deal with lesbians.
I can hear the fucking comments in my head, you know. Fuck off.
So IMDb rating currently on this is 7.4 out of 10, which is probably, I haven't checked, I will check later.
That's proper low.
That's
low.
That's lower
than to the rest of it.
That's lower than Frank and their episode, isn't it?
Now, I will say that people that have got no ties to the game, I spoke to recently one of my friends and asked what his opinion was. And he said, he found it one of the more boring episodes. He understood why the episode had to exist, but found the episode quite boring for him. So, I mean, that's just an outside opinion that I thought I'd share with you just because obviously us three are gamers. So it doesn't really make a difference to us.
Big fans of source material, so there's like an almost inherent bias there, isn't there?
There is.
But then I'd also argue that we probably scrutinise it a lot heavier because we're such big fans.
Yeah, agreed.
I will just end my point out and saying, once again, I thought the sets were incredible and the chemistry between the two actresses or actors, I don't know what they prefer to be called these days, I thought was wonderful. I did get a lot of emotion from it. So I pass it over to either one of you two. Who wants to talk?
I mean, I'll go.
Oh, DJ it is.
So, surprised it got such a low rating.
In 2023, mate. I'm sorry, but they put a lesbian kiss on there, and now everyone's got the.
Okay, I'll give it. I'm gonna go a little bit benefit of the doubt and say it didn't just get that just because of that. Because if that is solely the reason we live in
before you change off that point, can I just tune in on that? I'd love to get a demographic of how many people that rare about a lesbian kiss, but then you go on their search history and they all love a bit of lesbian porn. Guarantee it, man. Anyway, carry on.
So what I was going to say is like I know what you're getting, but I'd like to think that maybe that wasn't the only that wasn't the main contributing factor. The episode, it did run a little bit slow. until probably the last 5 minutes, but that is on par with the DLC. It was. It was needed. They had to fit this episode in because in the game there is a void with what happens when you see Joel get injured to when you see Joel in the basement of the house and Ellie's doing whatever. We won't go into that. And the DLC fills that void a year after the game. So I think it was in. It
I'm a
needed
complete
to be
edition,
in here.
folks.
Whatever.
The year edition.
So
the remake of the game of the year.
I've got the
edition.
remastered. Yes.
Why the remaster of the remake of the game?
I have mine is the remastered on the PS5. But anyway, and yeah, I'll agree with everything you said. Set design and that. I felt once again nailed it with the actors.
Yes.
You know, like you say, this whole. I think you made a comment last week when you said about every episode is about a different kind of love, like between two people. And this, once again, that's shone as the main element. I feel that the tangibility between the two of them at times, like just the nuanced looks that they gave each other, the pause when they, when she was like, "Oh, do you trust me? Close your eyes, hold my hand," and that little pause it gave when she took her hand, and when they're on the carousel. Which is such a great moment. There's a moment where Ellie looks at her, and then you see the
reflection.
I was going to say the cinematography is brilliant because you can just see in the reflection. Riley, her name wasn't it? If I remember rightly.
Riley,
yeah. She's looking forward, and you can just see Ellie's just looking at her, and you just know she's being eaten up inside. I felt in the game there was a little bit. At times, I felt Ellie was had more animosity in the game than what she did in the episode. Because if she felt left and betrayed by Riley.
Yeah.
I liked the inclusion though to kind of like with the pipe bombs and stuff that to show just how because it gives it another insight into. The overall, like kind of
but
the
it's all well and
Fireflies in
good
general.
saying Firefly, this, that, but then that adds like a real element.
Yeah, you kind of realise, okay, how dangerous the Fireflies are, and what they're actually intentions are.
Oh, you're such a lovely, friendly person, and then holy shit, you got like weapons.
Exactly.
Can I just say, complete bullshit of fucking Riley knowing the fatality for fucking Baraka. No, Melina, she did it, but then she told Ellie the Baraka fucking sequence, and I was like, "Fuck off! Are you just pulling that out your fucking mind? Where's the piece of paper? Hang on, worked it out. Fuck off! You don't know that off by heart.
Don't you remember? She said she's been there for a few days, and she's probably been caning the shit out of it.
Oh yeah, but we're talking about fatality here. Like fatalities aren't on the fucking machine. It's
Jesus
not like, by the way, when they get into
my god! Talk about being pedantic.
Man, I won't have it. I won't have it.
72 button presses, and you can only do it in 3 days after the latest blood moon.
Right. Do you know what I love?
Barakas.
What I love.
We need to get back to TJ's point.
No, what I loved. I'm just gonna go on there for a minute. What I absolutely loved is how it showed the complete noobness of fucking Ellie when she like use the joystick and she starts tapping it to the side.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's something I really want
to know. Just smash them.
When she's like smacking it to the side, it was like, and when she's just standing there throwing punches, I'm like, it's quality. It was great.
The gamer in me died. The gamer in me died a bit.
Now, they did change it up a little bit, because there is a scene where if you hear when she says about, I've got a gift for you, and she mentions water pistols. There is actually a scene in the DLC where they have a water pistol fight. The end scene takes place in the horror shop. That's not actually the end scene in the DLC. They go into another. It's like I believe it was like an electronics store or just a general. And they're having a water fight. And then the
song is the same, though.
Horde. Oh, yes, the song is the same. And they dance on the counter. They still got on the counter. They still dance on the counter. But as they're dancing on the counter, a whole horde of infected break through the door, and they've got to fight off a horde of them. But
that's the video game thing.
Once again, that's you know that's fine. I think, and also it just shows how the more or the prolonged exposure to infection, how much stronger, how much more difficult they are to deal with, because she almost unloaded a clip on that thing and it didn't want to go down.
Shanked it in the head a few times, didn't she?
And she shanked, like Ellie stabbed it in the side a few times and everything, and you're like, I think once again it showed you got that quite instant experience of like, okay, yeah, fuck me, these are dangerous bastards again, like
when you saw it in the wall with all the shit growing off it,
man.
it was just like, man, that's a mid boss. That's not an end of level boss, but that's a mid boss that's gonna push your shit in if you're not prepared.
I like how they focused on the knife a little bit, so to show, because that knife's obviously got significance to Ellie.
But I just want to, just before I let Rich jump in, I do just want to say I am even more
excited.
Oh,
no.
I know
He knows exactly where we're going. I am
reverting
back to 2 episodes ago when I said I don't know how they finished this. They have 2 episodes left. I think I might be onto something with some of my potential end scenarios, which means Rich ain't never watching season 2.
That one is the last episode of it I'll watch 100%.
Well, you won't know. You won't know. Oh, you mean this season?
Like the finale special would be 2 hours.
They may do a 2-hour last episode, which kind of would tie in, but we didn't get to see. We all said by the end of the episode, like this bit is going to be like 20 minutes, half hour of the episode, and then we're going to get the David shit. Not all of the David shit, but at least introduced to David. We ain't got a clue who fucking David is.
Yeah, because it feels like you've got to do all of that next episode, and then get to the hospital.
Yeah, and have all of that as well, and all the emotion and all everything, because that is, I think they are 2 of the most poignant parts of the story that you cannot, because we're going to we're going to see Ellie in like a situation, well, possibly the most dangerous situation that she's faced to date when she's by herself, and then obviously what happens at the end, it's like. You can't rush. These are like the 2 most poignant parts of the series.
I feel like next episode needs to be like
longer,
like an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the last episode needs to be like an hour and a half, an hour and 40.
Which
that
has been done.
I've got no information on the length of the episode next week, by the way.
Okay. I just worry now. Like when it ends, I was like watching it again. This is moving kind of slow. I was expecting this to come round a little bit, and then before I know it, it was like, oh fuck, we're actually at the end of the episode, and you're like, oh no, we've really gone nowhere.
Yeah,
like they sort of, I don't want to say that they sort of undersold Joel's injury as well, because at the end it's like, oh, she's found the ability to stitch him up. I'm like, oh, so are we just going to rush through? Are we just going to rush through that then?
Yeah.
That's what I'm worried about. Because I was like, no, you can't do that, because without spoiling it, like the David scene is very, very important.
Yeah.
You know, I ain't going to say it, but like, it's very important that like Joel isn't super fucking mobile.
Well, one of the things is as well that they obviously cut out of the DLC was obviously the DLC jumped back. And back to now, if you will, and then back into Ellie's past, and obviously the now stuff was all about her trying to find like medical supplies to try and like stim him up. Now we did say obviously it was more of a worse wound in the game because he went through a bit of rebar pierced him, like he landed on like a pillar, rebar pierced him, went all the way through, so it was an an in and out wound, and obviously
this was a hair leg stabbing, I believe.
This was baseball bat, wasn't it? He had he broke a baseball bat on a tree,
broken baseball bat.
So I don't know, it kind of like it moved along at a slow plodding pace. It told the story it needed to tell, probably in a little bit too long, but I do just now fear that we're running out of time. And isn't it amazing that we turned around at the start and we said, "What are they running? Are they running a little bit too quickly here?" And now we're like, "Fuck, they ain't got enough time." Like you go back to episode 2, we were like, "Yeah, I think they're getting through this really, really quickly here," and now it's like, You know what? We haven't we need 5 more episodes. Fucking hell.
Yes, garbage, slow down. Just a little bit about next week's as well. We will definitely see David. It is being played by.
I should
Scott
bloody hope
Shepherd.
so.
It's played by Scott Shepherd, whoever he is, and Troy Baker will also be in next week's episode.
Nice, good.
Can I just ask before? Once again, sorry, Rich, I'm stamping on your toes again. You mentioned that. I don't know who the actress who played Ellie, the voice of Ellie, was in the game. Who did she play in this episode?
I don't know whether she was in this episode.
I swear you said she was going to be.
Oh yeah, I did. I definitely said it.
Or is it that she's going to be in one of the last few episodes?
Just have a quick look.
Because the only other female interaction you had was the girl that Ellie smacked in the face, which I thought was cool.
That was Ruby Libert.
Yeah, other than that, you literally had 4. You had 4 people in this episode. That was it.
Yeah.
Well, on IMDb, I think they were hinting that potentially Ashley Johnson.
I did hear she was going to be in it somewhere. I'm not sure. As who though.
Oh, okay.
But she clearly wasn't in this.
Definitely wasn't in this episode.
Yeah.
And so I don't know whether Troy Barker will be in next episode. He's labelled as someone called James. And
James.
Ashley
So James, David, and James are the ones that stumble across Ellie, and Ellie turns around and says, "I need things," and David tells James, "You go off and you get these things. I'll stay with the girl."
Yeah.
And obviously, we don't know who David is at that moment in time. So yeah, I would have thought Troy Baker is too old to play James, to be honest. But because in the game, it kind of feels like he may well be David's son because he's quite of a young character. But anyway,
yes, I think I remember who James is now. Yeah, I mean, this might all be speculatory and that might all change, but I definitely heard both Ashley Johnson and Troy.
It would make sense. It would make sense that they would have a part.
For those that don't know, Troy Baker was the original voice of Joel.
Yeah.
So
Rich,
clear that up. And Mocha.
Thoughts, Rich?
I'm really surprised. Like you said, I'm really surprised it's one of the lowest rated because I think it was probably one of my favourite. I thought something this show's done really, really well, particularly this in episode 3, is in these sort of circumstances, you see so much on what it's like to be alive. Well, these episodes have given you reasons to be alive. You know what I mean? Like the reason, like very good reasons for living. Bella Ramsey, she's just an extraordinary actress, man. Like the way she can showcase super vulnerability alongside, like, you know, the badass little Ellie that we all know and love is a wonder. Like you were saying earlier, some of the scenes where she was like, the tension between them, you could almost reach out and snap it. Like it was fucking phenomenal. And the way she conveys like childlike wonder, because for all the sort of attitude you get from Ellie, she is a kid. You know, particularly when she got to the arcade and stuff like that, she was like, you could see she was like shitting her pants with excitement. You know, it was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I do agree that it might be sort of it might have been slightly long. But I thought it told a really, really good tale, gave you a really good clue into fucking Ellie's sort of headspace. The whole, we'll just wait it out together as well. Oh, my fucking heart, man.
Yeah.
Like horrible. Absolutely. I'm glad they had the balls to not show you that. I'm glad they just left that to your imagination, you know, on what those final sort of 6, 12, 24 hours were like. You know, I don't need to know that. I just fucking, you know, that would have felt like a bit too much, a bit invasive. You know, I'm glad it was for them, sort of thing. I did. I thought it was real fucking good. I was really impressed. As you say though, I am very fucking worried that we're sort of, the way I see it though, you really do only have 2 big events left.
You do.
To deal with.
I just don't think an hour for each is enough.
Yeah, but that's the way the sort of show's kind of gone, hasn't it? There's been like an event, an episode.
Yes.
You know, so I think it is doable, provided that, you know, I feel the episodes are a bit longer than they have been.
If they keep it down to the 55-minute mark, which seems to be the average they're pushing out at the moment.
Yeah.
I just worry that it's going to, and not only that, but I just feel that we're going to come away from it and be like, disappointed, and I wonder if we will. It will leave a sour taste on the series as a whole, because we know how poignant these last 2 episodes are.
Yeah.
And it's,
we'll discuss that in the final. I think that'll be what will be fun about the second half.
I think sticking the landing, as important as the next section is, I feel that there's more of that you can probably skimp over, whereas like the end is absolutely fucking crucial. You know, if you've only got 1 hour and 20-minute episode in your left, it needs to be the end and not next one. You know what I mean?
If they're going to focus on the love between 2 people, will it be father and son then next week? And their strained relationship in this,
or well, actually, I was just going to say, because there is a lot. Most of the episode's going to be Joel and Ellie apart, which we haven't seen. So, is it more not necessarily going to be love? Is it going to be?
Well, it could be love, but from David's perspective.
I wondered if they'd go David's perspective, you know.
Yeah. Also, right,
maybe
the one thing I'm really fucking worried that we're not going to see, and I might have mentioned it before, and I am going to be really mad, and the whole season is shit if I don't see it. Okay, giraffes.
Giraffes has got to happen, but
we mentioned it last week. Giraffes is that's another one of those wonderment moments that you spoke about literally a couple of minutes ago.
Because we haven't really seen her interact with animals as yet.
The monkeys thing was fucking cool, because that was
the monkeys was spot on. The monkeys was absolutely spot on.
But yeah, that moment of, particularly because it comes not long after the David shit, doesn't it? And it's like that's such a kind of emotionally dark and devastating, and like the real grimy part of fucking humanity. You know, and then you come out to that wonderful bit of just natural beauty and wonder and splendor, don't you? And it is just like, oh my god, yeah, it's one of those one of those defining images. When you mention The Last of Us, it's like it takes maybe 2 seconds before that image pops up in my head. It's not the first image that pops up, but it's within the first fucking 5.
See, I don't see. If you're saying they end the episode on that, then I think they rush through the David stuff to end.
I definitely think they're going to rush. I don't think they're going to rush, but
I would think the coming together of them two back, like again, like
yeah, but you say do 40 minutes. You start in midi-res, so you start with her away from him, and you spend 40 minutes, and then the last sort of 15 minutes with him.
It's almost like it's almost like 2 stories. One episode has got to tell 2 stories, though. This is the thing, because you've got the Ellie story, and then you've got the Joel story, because there are 2 separate parts to to the game with this. They're like Ellie meets David, whatever happens there, and then Joel wakes up and he's like, "Oh, okay, fuck, I've got to find Ellie."
Yeah, but that second bit isn't a massive bit. Do you know what I mean? It's not a huge.
But you can't also skim across it and just like, Joel's here to save the day after he's like nearly dead.
No, you can't. But I do think, say, 15, 20 minutes is more than enough time to do that sort of thing justice.
Okay, but
on both sides.
Take it.
No, say the Joel.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. So how long do you give the Ellie bit? If you're giving him 20 minutes, you've only got 40 minutes. So where are you going to fit in 10, 15 minutes to do the giraffe thing? So I'm saying, I just think it's becoming a time crunch nightmare.
That doesn't need to be like a 10, 15 minute. That just needs to be coming out into the city. Oh my god!
But unless they do, Ellie and Joel are back together, fade to black, come back up. It's now X amount of months later. And then it's,
quite probably.
I mean, I would have thought that they're going to have to put,
because I feel you need that image in the episode with the David.
Oh, 100. Yeah. I think to counterbalance. I just don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. I think you need to have the giraffe moment so that you can be reminded after what situations are just going to.
I'm able to charge my headphones.
Okay, no problem. You need to throw, because you're going to see something, and then we've got to try and think of it in terms of TV, though.
Yeah.
So in a game, yes, you got to wave and wave and wave of enemy in order to show the fight that he goes through. So TV, you can probably shorten a lot of that down.
But I also feel that there is because There is a key moment where Ellie lets her guard down and trusts David. Now, you can't just show, "Hi, I'm David. Ha, I trust you." So you've got to have 5 or so minutes of something happening to them, however they're going to show it. We know how it happens in the game.
Yeah.
But of why she comes to let her guard down and go, "Oh, okay, this guy's actually, a good guy, and he's like, going to look after me." And then obviously we find out a little bit more. Then obviously she becomes the hunted, we'll call it. And I just don't think you can, if they miss that, I think they miss a trick as well, because I think that's a key moment, because you look, it gives you a glimpse, and you look at David and you're like, "Oh, David's David's this really cool like kind of guy," and then all of a sudden it's just like, "Oh shit." And I think it gives David's a very multi-layered character, and if you just make him an asshole from the minute you meet him to the end, I think you've wasted one of the best villains, if you will, in this whole series. It probably is the best villain in this series.
Yeah.
You take
I do agree. All the point I'm making is that section in the game itself doesn't take particularly long to do.
It's cutscene heavy.
Yeah, and then
it's cutscene heavy, yeah.
And a lot of the gamey parts of it are exactly that, gamey parts of it. You know what I mean? With the
so you can skip through a lot of that,
sneaking around and stuff
but
that.
But you could also, but then just look at the episode we had. You've dragged that out for an hour, which you could have done in a lot less. Now, I know they've done a lot with telling the story, with conveying the emotions of the two characters and that, but I do feel at times that things move at a slower pace than they need to.
I know what you mean. I think,
and that's why I don't know if they're going to all of a sudden slam an episode and just go bam, here it is, when everything's moved at quite of a steady, if not plodding pace.
I really wish
it's well paced. Don't get me wrong, but I think that might be the issue. Where if we now see an episode where it's wham bam done, you're like, fucking hell, where did that come from? That's not how any of the episodes have felt. I think to keep continuity, I don't know how they do it.
I wouldn't. I would like to know the run times.
Yeah,
to be honest.
I mean, this might all be if it's 120 for the next episode.
Yeah.
Then answer's done. We know.
Sorted. To be fair, in terms of the way they're establishing characters very, very quickly, I don't know, man. I think an hour you genuinely probably could get this done.
I mean, don't get me wrong, this might just be one of those episodes that runs an hour and 5 just to get it all in. I mean, the good thing about current TV shows is that they try not to limit themselves to the, to a format to it's got to be 60 minutes, it's got to be 55 minutes. A lot of times you do see it go over now, which is a good thing, really, because it means that
an episode as long as it needs to be these days, isn't it? Which is one of the benefits of things being to link back to
DJ's just a ghost. He's just a fucking ghost. What's happening?
Oh, I don't know if I want to ruin your nights, lads.
Oh god, here we go. Hold on.
I've got the confirmed running time for the next episode and the at the moment rumored running time for the last episode.
Yeah, go
on then.
51 minutes for episode 8.
Oh, okay, yeah.
43 minutes for episode 9.
No.
Episode 9 is unconfirmed.
Yeah.
But episode 8 is confirmed at 51 minutes. Episode 9 currently is believed to be 43 minutes. Which would be episode 4 was 45 minutes. So this would be the lowest, the shortest. Sorry, yeah, thank you. The shortest episode, the lowest episode. Yeah. It might be the lowest fucking episode, lowest rating.
Are you gonna grow some sheep again?
Fuck off! I nearly called my stream that the other day. Let's grow some sheep. Fucking hell. But yeah, if that's true, I worry
Yeah,
Worry.
that would
is
be so bad. Like considering it's nailed it so hard all the way through to just fuck up the ending that bad. Like
that is concerning. So that's super concerning. 43 minutes to tell that ending is not enough time.
no.
Yeah, I've
Which
got it here
means
on another site for episode 9, 43 minutes.
That does not bode well.
51 for episode 8.
they better not
43.
fucking. They wouldn't leave it on a cliff. They couldn't leave it on a cliff.
I'm telling you now. I fucking
That would
called
be
it.
And
insane.
I'm telling you now, 100%. Like I'm done, because if you tell me you're telling me the whole story and then you literally for 6 weeks and then you screw me like this, I'm never watching anything you do ever again. Like 100%. If it ends where we fucking theorized about it ending, like that's it. There is no more of it. Like,
I just don't get 43
for
minutes.
me.
43 minutes is the yeah. That's
All right, hold on.
That's crazy.
All right, no spoilers. No spoilers. Think about it in sections.
Yeah,
So,
that's what like I say.
Intro, you're in. Then the situation.
I think it's got to be.
I don't know, man. If you spent 10 minutes, just 10 minutes, I mean, it wouldn't be deep, but I think you could get all.
I mean, they're obviously not going to
in.
have. We know the stages Joel has to go through in in that part of the game. Obviously, he's not fucking the Terminator. So we know.
But they won't show it like that either.
No, they won't. But I also
again, it'll be less gaming.
Yeah, it
so
will be.
There'll be
but
like
I also
one
feel
guy,
there's so
2 guys.
I kind of
you know.
I feel like. I mean, it all depends. It all depends how much they rush through. I mean, we might be talking 30 minutes is all they take for the David stuff in the next episode, and then it can't. And then if they do that, then they've got plenty of time because they'll have half an episode and then a whole. And if half an episode leads them up to the hospital,
would they leave it on a cliffhanger?
I told you where I think. Not
the end of the series. I mean, the next episode.
Yeah,
so if you spend 30 minutes on David,
well, then you get them out of the way. You get the
minutes,
giraffes, and then you pretty much at the hospital.
And that's where it rushed, but I don't know.
Oh, that would be well rushed. And do you know what? It kind of makes me. I look back at it. If that's what they do, it's going to be really disappointing.
So you were thinking, if you think in sections.
Yeah, in terms of the story for both places, so say next episode started with David, yeah, you've got enough time to get through that, and I think do it well. And if the episode after started at the hospital, but then what you're doing about getting to and from there, do you know, the intervening time?
That's the thing.
Is what?
I just, like I say, I'll go back to the fact of I feel that the way they've paced this. I mean, we're theorizing here, but yet we do speak every week about how well constructed the episode is, and so I will give them the benefit of the doubt at the moment.
I am actually prepared to die on the hill that I don't think the David thing takes as long as we were all kind of thinking it does.
I think if they get it done in half an episode, I think they've wasted a character. I really do.
I agree. I do think an hour is enough to do that sort of section, because as you say, 2 stories, I can see 40 minutes and 20 minutes being like kind of more than enough. You take out the gamer parts of it, and you just get to convey what you need to, because things move faster in a TV show as well. Like a series, a set of exposition that might take you fucking 10 minutes in a game will be like 2 minutes in the TV show.
Oh yeah,
So I think in terms of just like pure story to get through, you probably could do that. But then the end is the one I'm now like, that's a bit worrisome.
I mean, I'm just trying to think of the end. I'm trying to think. Right, you don't actually spend. Like, if you think of the end, it feels long because of game.
Yeah.
But there's actually not, like, if you think of the beats that you've actually got to get through.
There's not as much for both sections as you kind of think. I think it's because of the magnitude of what those sections are and what they impart makes them seem a lot bigger than they are.
Yeah, I just feel that obviously.
Because that entire end section, even with the gamey parts of it, is an hour. If that. Let's be real. Because I'd probably argue to watch the show from start to finish is probably the length of the game.
The game's 20 to 25 hours, and the show will be approximately 10.
It's about saying that long, the game, really?
I don't know. I
I
don't
don't
think so.
remember it being that long.
I
Hold on,
think
let me just have a quick
I
look.
would love to have my PlayStation here and be able to tell you how long that my last save took me, but I think I knew bits and pieces that I could, like, I don't have to go and search this building, this building, this building. But yeah, for completionist, you might be looking at 20 odd hours, but maybe 14.
Right. So, according to
15?
How Long to Beat,
Yep.
Last of Us,
14,
main story,
15.
15 hours.
There you go,
main
yeah.
story and sides 17.5 hours. Completionist 22 hours.
Yeah, that makes
All
sense.
styles 16.5
Yeah.
hours.
So yeah, say what 14, 15 hours for the game, and you know, for the whole story with all the game stuff, then yeah, I think the show's probably moving at like a fair sort of clip. Because there are like just hours you can
Hold up.
chunk out of
We
that
are
just
also
like
adding a
segments
2-hour DLC in there, so.
yeah,
Well,
true.
that's it. But that's I mean, they're saying Left Behind
and
2 hours.
episode 3 never took part in the game.
True.
True.
Very true.
So they fleshed out parts.
But we also did miss massive sections in the sewer and stuff as well.
Yeah.
Yes. It says
I'll
here
tell you
that
what,
even
actually,
speedruns.
that's just got in my head. Sorry, Jay, that's just got in my head and worried me now. That how much we spoke about how much like they messed up by cutting a big swath of that out with the sewer. It was literally like,
What are they cutting a big swath of out of the next few
Yeah.
episodes?
I'm actually that's actually got me even more worried. Why am I thinking about stuff?
So, well, I mean, to be fair, dude, we're only gonna have to wait until tomorrow, and we'll know.
I've been holding off to watch the episode. I've been staying off of social media just so it's fresh. I literally watched it at 8 o'clock this evening because I come back from London and put it on when I got home. So
yeah, I put it on before I jumped on.
Yeah,
Yeah, I watched it just before this, and now I'm literally sat there with Attack on Titan on the fucking screen because the second this call's over, that shit's getting watched.
So I mean, I it sort of digressed into what's coming up because we've all become quite concerned.
Yeah, but as a whole, I thought, yeah, solid episode.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was. I can understand why it was a lower rated episode. It's not a 7.8 or whatever Jay said.
No, 7.4.
7.4. It's
Still damn good
definitely
television.
It's an 8.4 maybe.
Yeah,
It ain't a
I'd
7.4. I do wonder if, like, I'll be interesting to know if anyone's turned around and said, like, because in the game nothing is made of the two ages of the girls, right?
No.
But Riley is 17, Ellie's 14. I wonder if anyone's come up with that about, like, Ellie's a child. And if people are a little bit, maybe it's not the fact that it's like two girls, maybe not the fact that it's a lesbian, maybe it's the fact that Ellie's a child is what's disconcerting to people because she's 14. You know, now it does happen in the game, so they're 100% following the source material. I have no issue with it at all. I felt it was a poignant moment in the game. It's a poignant moment in the episode. But I wonder more if it's that than it is maybe the fact it's two girls.
Right. So just to give it a little bit to people, there's a couple of reviews on IMDb. I'll read some of the lowest scoring ones. So, for instance, 3 out of 10.
Idiot.
Boring teen drama. Just a boring 1 hour teen drama that didn't add anything to narrative. What happened here? Did the writers take a 2-week vacation? Who directed?
Idiot who's never played the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it didn't add anything to narrative. Yeah, all right. Somebody that doesn't actually know what the word narrative fucking means.
Possibly has not watched any of the previous episodes either.
Yeah,
exactly.
Fucking hell.
Fucking moron.
Zombies and death everywhere. And what do we get? A 1 hour filler episode. This one really dragged the storyline. All the teen story pseudo romance tale could have lasted 10 minutes tops, and that story move along quickly. Why do I have the feeling that we're going to have a Walking Dead slow ass molasses narrative from now on? The producers seem to be dragging this one too long. Yeah, move along,
Walking
people.
Dead
Don't watch this one.
slow ass molasses narrative is possibly the best description of anything I've ever heard, and I'm going to be using that pretty frequently from here on out in the rest of my life.
Oh.
Another 3 out of 10. Again, they don't like teenagers at the mall, let me tell you.
apparently not.
Teenagers, 3 out of 10. Teenagers at a shopping mall. This episode is 45 minutes shopping mall and 7 minutes of something happening. There are no spoilers in my review because there is nothing really worthy of mentioning inside this episode. It contains classic teenage activities at a shopping mall. I guess they wanted to get good ratings from teenage audience, so they gave them something they can relate to. The only missing
God.
from a car-dependent teenagers having fun at a shopping mall American love story was the soccer man driving them to the shopping mall. There was definitely a childish cheer amongst our two teenagers, so I guess they did a good job acting. Well, overall, another bottle episode.
I've never.
Can
Right,
you do me a
don't wish-
favour, right? I've got to go and I've got to get a book on physics from the library just to restore some of the IQ points I've fucking lost from listening to that absolute drivel. Good fucking lord, man. Like,
I don't wish harm on people. Right?
I do pretty frequently.
But these people, fucking hell,
man.
do they not understand? Like, this is a character-driven story.
Yeah.
They want zombies, boys. They want zombies.
Like, I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. 3 out of 10. These people are fucking idiots. Hang on, can you counterbalance this and actually give us a good review after as well?
I will.
Because I want some restoration of, like.
Well, we had the good reviews. We had
Well,
ours.
we are, but I want to know that there might actually be someone else other than us three that can understand and like appreciate things.
Right, so this one, I'm just going to read the top line of this one because it really just says everything about this viewer. So 3 out of 10, just filler, they've titled it. I didn't like this episode at all and had to skip through it. So you didn't watch it.
Yeah,
so what is the point of this entire that you didn't watch it?
So your little diatribe that you're about to fucking indulge in is completely irrelevant because as per said description, you didn't watch it. Fuck off, fuck nugget.
I love fuck nugget.
Oh, man.
I'm not going to bother with the rest of that. I will read. Let me see a nice.
If you've got to search this hard for this, not.
You know what?
Yeah, this is one. Here's one from a
advert for contraception. What a dickhead.
Here's one from a guy who is a person who has clearly played the game. So 10 out of 10, beautifully recreated from the game. I genuinely do not understand all the negative reviews. You people are saying that this episode was boring, had bad writing, and then did not advance the plot or develop the characters in any way. You clearly have no idea what you're talking about. This is obviously do not understand any aspects or values of filmmaking. You should just go watch The Walking Dead or Stranger Things or something. You'll get all the
Stranger Things.
Awesome monster stuff. Stuff with a lot of cool action and some great chase scenes. That's clearly all your brain can comprehend.
Please capital letters with those words as well.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'll do it again for you. A lot of cool action and some great chase scenes. That's clearly all your brain can comprehend. This episode was probably one of the closest to the game. By the way, I have no problem with changes. And I thought they did an excellent job recreating for TV. What else can I say? Great writing, great directing, excellent acting, beautiful cinematography, fantastic set design, great dialogue. Very similar to the game as well, etc. So there you go. There's a good one.
And so our special guest next week is called
special guest.
The guy who wrote that. We've got.
Oh yeah, we'll
bring him on because he's the only fucking.
It was me. Spoiler alert. It was me.
Like I say, I do feel.
Kingslayer 99. That was. I was going to make a joke about Pussy Slayer 99. He's
12. Kingslayer. So obviously he's a Game of Thrones fan. Jaime Lannister fan. I would say I do feel that the episode plodded along, but I kind of feel that was fine.
It's not a 10 out of 10.
It's not a 10. But I do agree wholeheartedly with what he says there. From point to point, it is probably the most accurate recreation of the episode because I say, other than the one little bit where they had the water pistol fight, it is spot on, point for point, even down to the masks. You know, I thought we were going to miss this. I was sure we were going to have the water pistol fight, and I was like, well, where the fucking hell's the horror shop? And then all of a sudden we get the horror shop. I was like, oh, brilliant! And the mask come out. I was like, oh, that's quality. You know, and like you say, I thought the little bits of like 80s nostalgia with the music, a bit of aha take on me, and it was like it's quality, loved it. You know, generally all round, like I say,
good TV, man.
Good episode. Like followed the story. Like once again, you got another dimension to Ellie's character. You understand more about Ellie's character and why she has feelings of like abandonment and that, you know, because of what happened. It was her best friend who was literally leaving her. Then you get that poignant moment of her saying, "Oh, I'm gonna stay," and then ultimately what happens to her. But it has, like I say, I can't. The elephant in the room. I can't get away from the fact it's left me worried.
Yes.
We'll deal with them. That's a problem for next week.
Yeah.
So I'll give you one last one because I think this is a pretty good one. So this is 9 out of 10, which is probably more in line with what I would think. Necessary character development, not filler. Left Behind adapts the iconic DLC storyline incredibly well, continuing the impressive balance of faithfulness and originality whilst depicting some of the most tender and heartwarming moments of the story so far, which makes it all the more heartbreaking when these innocent moments are interrupted by monsters of this world. As with Bill and Frank episode earlier on this season, it may not drive the narrative forward on action alone, but this definitely isn't filler. It is absolutely necessary story it's telling and has been integrated into the overarching story at the best possible place. Bella Ramsey is perfect as usual, with Ellie's optimism and fear of being alone still present and intact. Storm Reid absolutely shines as Riley, with confidence and soulfulness that matches the character's life experiences, and her chemistry with Bella is instantaneous and so engaging to watch. Yep. Lisa Johnson's direction is amazing. The show has consistently been really impressive from a technical and visual standpoint, but this one in particular is just absolutely gorgeous to look at from beginning to end, and the more set is insane in its scope and detail.
One thing I will say to what he just said, he brought up like the similarities in the type of story of what happened in episode 3.
Yes.
This is even more important because this is actually part of the game.
Yes.
Like episode 3 was a fantastic episode, but it wasn't actually part of the game. It was a brilliant piece of a brilliant tangent we went off of away from the game, which, you know, is one of my favorite episodes. But if we didn't have it, we wouldn't miss it. If we didn't have this, we would miss this.
Yes, because as this one says, it is necessary character development.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
why it's not filler. Simply,
yeah.
it can't be filler if we need it to tell the story. In my opinion,
it is important. I agree. I totally agree. I think it's definitely not filler. I mean, you know, should it have taken 55 minutes to tell that tale? Who knows? But did I get a warm feeling watching these two absolutely outstanding actors work together and portray something I've only ever seen in a video game media? Yes, I really, really enjoyed that. I thought that was
on the flip side, would it have been better television if you'd have spent 10 less minutes with them and spent 10 more minutes of Ellie rummaging around cupboards? Probably not.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, that's
You know, and what else was you going to do? You couldn't really rush the end of this episode and have the introduction of David, because what I've enjoyed about this is there really hasn't been many cliffhanger endings.
It would have been too much of a thematically different jump, because every episode sort of had its own emotional tale built into it, and I think adding David into the end of this one
wouldn't have worked.
You're muddying emotional tales. You know, this one's made its fucking point. Step out. Next week will come in and make its point. You know,
I think the only cliffhanger we've had is probably Henry and Sam. When Joel wakes up to a gun in his face, I think that's the only real.
I suppose Joel being stabbed could be seen as
Joel. Joel collapsing. Yeah, I'll tell you one thing though. One thing that we didn't speak about. We have just solely spoke on the Joel and the Ellie and Riley scenario. The Joel and Ellie portion. Right at the very start, where he's telling her to go and leave, and when she's walking away, and he's got that single, the single solitary tear rolling down his cheek. It's another one of those moments. Yeah, it's just like fuck, because
one solitary man.
He doesn't he's told her to fuck off because he's you need to go because I think he knows people are going to come for him.
Yeah,
And so he's like, you need to go, get away, go see Tommy. Like, what's his name? Leave me. I'm gonna die. You can't save me. It's a gut wound, for crying out loud, you know. And I think he knows it, and like he has that realization moment of like the connection that he has with her, and as she walks up their stairs, I think he's obviously anticipating I'm never going to see her again. And you get that moment where he just looks longingly up the stairs, the tear rolls down his cheek. Like little moments like that in this series are going to stay with me, no matter how they finish this. Like,
well, not only that, but that really shows his growth.
Yeah, that's
from
what I mean.
A man who didn't
2
want
minutes.
her.
2 minutes.
Yeah,
that's all it took.
Yeah. So I really like to say. I mean,
that's what you're saying in terms of length. That's kind of the point I was trying to make earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You look at what the show's managed to do with such little in terms of time. Like,
but that's been coming though, hasn't it? Like that has been told over the last 6 episodes.
Yeah,
David, we're introducing new characters. Like you can't rush through an emotional thing in that time. Do you know what I mean? Like to get the emotion that they wanted from this episode, it took an episode from the Riley and the Ellie situation. That's what I mean. So,
but dude, look what they did with episode 3. They gave you emotions for characters that you didn't have emotions for.
Yeah, but it was over a whole episode. This is what we're saying. Like, it wasn't a rushed thing. It wasn't like, here's Frank. Here's... Oh, I keep forgetting the other guy's name. What's he... Bill. Here's Frank and Bill. And done. Move on. Like, it wasn't like, it wasn't like, oh, they love each other. He's dead. Well, they're both dead. Let's move on.
Oh, no.
Do you know what I mean?
You look at the emotional tale that managed to tell, and that was 6 minutes less runtime than the next episode's going to be.
So, I mean, look, all I'm saying is they're good at what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree that they seem to have a wrangle on it.
I do share concerns.
I mean, like, we might
have a little bit of faith.
I'd like to, they haven't, like I say, I feel they've only dropped the ball on one thing, and that's the sewer. And if they take this home in the best possible way, I can let that go.
Yeah.
If they fuck this up, I'm going to hark back to that and go, it ain't the first time you fuck something up.
So it's not going to be fair on our final episode on this, because we're going to look at the whole series as a whole.
I'm going to be like, you fucked it up here,
exactly.
Here.
That's what I worry. That's what I worry about.
But no, there is still going to be, like I say, those poignant moments that will stay with me from this series. That they have done so well, probably better than anything I've watched in the last 5 years.
It is top quality live action TV. I will say that's top quality live action TV. Right. So, are we closing points on this? Are we going to move on to the next point?
Yeah, agreed.
Cool. I believe so.
Right. So, just heads up, everybody who's listening and watching. So, the next episode is, of course, When We Are in Need. It episodes on March 6th. We don't know how long it's going to be. The director is going to be
56 minutes.
56 minutes. There's a lot to get through, kids, but we'll talk about that more next week. Anyway, so our next point that we're going to talk about cheating in video games. Now, this wasn't originally going to be our topic. We were going to talk about something else, but we've decided to go about it because TJ had quite an experience yesterday. You want to tell us about that experience again, TJ?
So yeah, I was streaming a game of Dead by Daylight, a killer game. I had someone come in and wasn't happy with my gameplay choice in this game. To which I turned around and said it was a strategy which I used. I was between a rock and a hard place. If I had gone, I had 2 decisions to make. If I'd have gone decision A, I had already killed 1 person, 3 survivors left. If I'd have gone decision A, the other 3 would have got out. 1 gen left, they would have got out.
You'd have lost.
I would have technically lost. So I was willing to take 2 people. I camped someone. Where last gen, with the view of I will take 2 and that'll be fine. The other 2 people will get out. I ended up getting a 4K out of it. Great. He came into my stream, this gentleman, afterwards and said it was cringe that I camped. And I was like, well, it led to me winning the game.
And cringe is a word that kids now use in order to say bad. Just because we're old men. And if people listen to this, they're probably old men as well. So
and I got onto a back and forth with him and pretty much said, that from my point of view, it was a strategy that paid off for me. I got a 4K, so it was worthwhile me doing. But then he came in, and the exact quote, I've got it here, was, and I said it was smart gameplay. And he turned around and said, That's like saying using hacks is smart because it gets you wins. To which
What a
my
facetious twat.
mind at that point. I mean, before I go any further, I will just say this person went away. He came back into my stream later on. He apologized. We had a discussion. He's now a member of my community, and you know, I have no issue with this. I have no issues with this person. Hopefully, they're going to be around for a long time. Seemed like a nice, genuine. He obviously had a bad experience in a game.
Yep.
Went away, cooled down, come back. All is good. But the quote that he made there about if you're playing smart, then why wouldn't you use hack? I've forgotten what he said. Using hacks is smart because it gets you wins, and it was just like, no, that means you're cheating, so you're not actually winning. Like it blew my mind, and for a second I had to actually stop and be like, did you honestly just say that like being smart would be to use hacks? Now, obviously, you know, as we're going to discuss, you know, using hacks, there are many different ways you can use hacks. You know, solo games, multiplayer online games. You know, but I couldn't get it over my head, and we went over it quite a bit with different people that were in the stream at the time. Yeah. And it just and you were in there, Jay, and it just led to a discussion back and forth, and which then led to this, which I think it's an interesting topic because. Like, how do people view hacks? How do people, and then in an extension of that, game-breaking glitches that people use and utilize? You know, is it fair game to use in like I say, a solo game, but then a multiplayer game where you're directly affecting the outcome of other people's games? Does that make it unacceptable? You know, it kind of opened up a whole can of worms, which we thought would be a good discussion point on here.
So, Rich, you got any thoughts before I lapse into a history of cheating?
Many thoughts. So, particularly in terms of that example, that sort of shit winds me up. Like, poor game design or balance is not the same thing as using something external to give yourself an advantage. You know, like, it's like I get your example from Dead by Daylight, and I liken it to fighting game stuff because you know that was sort of my competitive sort of growing up. And like I'd have games where you'd have people that would effectively call it cheating if I was just playing as Ryu and I just stood there and threw fireballs, you know, because and they'd be like, "Rah, that's cheating," and I'm like, "Well, no, it's not. It's a mechanic in the game. You know, Ryu throws fireballs. That's what he's known for. Well, if it's not cheating, then it's cheap. Well, it's not cheap because I don't need to do anything else to beat you. Like, you know, with the greatest respect, if you were better at the game, I wouldn't just be standing here spamming fireballs. But as it
you wouldn't be
stands,
sucking for him.
as it stands, I don't need to learn all the various combos and the anti-airs and this, that, and the other because I can beat you just by throwing a fucking fireball. So that's on you from being shit. You know, that's not a very popular opinion. I understand that, but if you're utilizing something that's in the game, that to me is that is not cheating. But it brought me to something I was going to ask you to in terms of the definition of cheating.
Yep.
So you got to bear with me because I'm gonna babble for a moment. Do you want a point you want to make on that before I babble about?
I think can well, Jay might.
I mean, obviously, the only point I would quickly make is he should understand that in a fighting game, there's things called counters. So if someone just repeatedly does one move, you should learn how to counter.
Jump it.
That's not just in fighting games. There are counters in all multiplayer games, aren't there?
Yeah.
So they'd be poorly balanced, wouldn't they? And everyone would just use fireballs all the fucking time.
Yeah. So the examples. So in terms of what constitutes cheating, I'd be interested to your guys' examples for this. So Pokemon, this is a game you guys know that I'm very passionate about. I've played it a lot. I speak quite frequently about it. Now I've got to do a bit of explaining here to fucking to give you an idea on why one of these things is somewhat necessary. So in Pokemon you have like 6 stats, right? Each Pokemon, there's 30 different natures you can get. 5 are neutral, you don't worry about those. The other 25 raise and lower one stat by 10%. Yeah. So then for these 6 stats, there's these things called IVs, and they're basically genetics. So they're a number between 0 and 31, and a 31 Like what that means is, say you've got a 31 in hit points. When your Pokemon's at level 100, it will have 31 more hit points than a Pokemon that had 0. So it's like a genetic thing. So you've got to try and get your genetics for your Pokemon good. You've got to try and get the nature good. Most Pokemon have somewhere between 1 to 3 abilities. So you've also then got to try and breed for the right ability as well. That's not including moves and stuff. So like a real thing with Pokemon back in the day, it's a lot quicker and a lot easier to do these days, is actually breeding your Pokemon. So that could take you 15 to 20 hours per party member back in the day, you know, because you'd have to breed for the stats, then you'd have to breed for the nature, then you'd have to breed for the fucking ability, and then you might have to, you know, if you were going really specific, like, I mean, that's complicated enough. There's really hyper specific things like transferring moves from previous generations. You know, it's a really long-winded process. So
this is for competition play, though, mainly.
Yeah, this is for competitive sort of play.
Yeah.
So a big thing cropped up in the Pokemon community where people started genning Pokemon. So what they do is they get an egg and they modify the contents of the egg so it would have the stats that they wanted. And everyone kind of calls that cheating, and to me that's a bit of a grey area, because when you in Pokemon, if you say you're cheating, that to me means you've made a Pokemon that is outside of the parameters of that Pokemon. So say its strength is 100, you're cheating if you've got a Pokemon that's got a strength of 300. Do you know what I mean? That to me is a flat out cheat. What you've done there is you've just sort of saved time, but a lot of the community doesn't see it that way. A lot of the community goes, no, every Pokemon needs to be hand reared, hand bred, this and that. And I do see that there's an argument for it, but as somebody that's not got a fat lot of free time left, I wouldn't
He's
play.
not dying, kids, just to clarify. He's not
just
saying
because
it's over.
I'm an adult, do you know what I mean? I don't have a great deal of free time, but like I've never. I want to put my hand up and say I've never. They call it genning or modifying a Pokemon, right? I've never done that in my life. I've always hand reared everything like that.
Quick question.
But conversely, I've also never had a problem with somebody that has done that, because to me, like, what you're using to play the game is basically irrelevant. Like, the skill for Pokemon comes from not what you've got, it's from how you play those Pokemon. So how you predict what the opponent's doing, what moves you've got, you know, how your team works together and stuff like this. And it's just such a really weird quandary on what really people constitute as cheating. Because for that, me personally, like I say, I don't have an issue with it. You could do that, and unless you told me, I wouldn't know, because they're indistinguishable from normal ones. So it's like, to me it's no different. All you've done is you've just cut out the laborious part of the game.
Forget that. So my question is, how did they create this egg?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to
a lot of that does come externally. There are ways and means of doing it in the game, but a lot of it does come from I've seen a program like you plug your DS into a laptop, and you pull up the values for the eggs and you set them to what you want. So away you go.
That
so
alone
I mean, technically
would put me
that is
straight
a cheat.
into cheating. For me, that's enough for me to go, that's cheating.
It's not a level and fair playing field, because not everyone has got access to be able to do that.
I agree, but then I also, not everybody also has, you know, you have some things in life that are gated to the rich people. Well, like, that then makes Pokemon something that's only gated to those who are rich in free time. Because me personally, I'd never be able to rear a team with the level of free time I have. It would literally, by the time I've got a team ready to play in competition, the next game would be out and everyone would be playing it.
I get that.
You know, again, not saying I do it, because I don't. I'm just putting that sort of argument
but then,
out there.
That's what I'm saying. No, dude, but you haven't done it.
Yeah, if the game made it easier, and you
then
didn't
that's
have
on the
to go
game.
through.
Surely.
Yeah, and you didn't have to go through the same, because as well, you also have to get, there's like items you need to get, which you need to pass down stats when you're breeding and stuff like this, and you've got to go through this laborious battle train thing,
is that
and you can never transfer your items from one game to the other. So you do the battle process thing. I did it in Gen 5, and then I had to do it in Gen 6, and then I had to do it in the second set of games of Gen 6, and then I had to do it in Gen 7 as well. So it's like, you know, by this point, I'm like, for fuck's sake, I can totally see why people do it.
Is that not poor game design then, in a sense that...
I agree.
So, and if you're having to use an external Like,
Yeah,
obviously,
it's a lot easier, a lot faster to do these days.
What,
The
within
game
the
is
game?
quite good at. Yeah,
Right,
the
okay.
game is quite good to this point. It instead of it, provided you spend 5 or 6 hours in the game collecting the tools necessary, instead of it being like a 15 to 20 hour process, you can probably do it in like 2.
Well,
Okay.
You know,
that's a
so
great improvement. And so
yeah,
I would still
that's
say
mm,
it's cheating,
Yeah, I would agree.
but the game has now come to a point where it's caught up with the fact that it's a bad game
Yeah.
choice.
yeah.
So I understand. I'm not saying it's cheating, it's bad, don't do it. I understand why people did it, but
Yeah.
fundamentally, I would say
Yeah.
because you are modifying something outside of what the game allows, then I would say that's cheating.
Like,
That's
see,
my opinion.
it's a weird one because of the definition of cheating, because of the fact that, like, because 1995, I can hand on my heart guarantee that 95% of the pro players, the people that play in like the professional world tournament, I guarantee you they did not breed those Pokemon. They all came, they were all modded, like 100%, and it all happened. And it is such a weird grey area because the definition of cheating is something that gives you an advantage. Doing that technically doesn't, because it sort of does in the time saved, not in terms of gameplay, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? So I think the advantage you get is, instead of having to spend 15 to 20 hours breeding a Pokemon, you got to spend that battling with the Pokemon and getting the experience. Do you know what I mean?
I do understand what you're saying, but
Let me ask you a question.
ultimately,
Yeah.
Do you think Lance Armstrong's a cheater?
Well, yeah, because he took drugs.
He took drugs. You do know that 95% of the people in the race those years were also doing the same thing.
Yeah, 100%.
So, but
He
you
just
still
got
class
caught.
him as a cheater.
He got
So
caught.
why would you not
No,
class all the people who do that in the game as cheaters? It's the
because they
same.
didn't get caught.
No, okay, but
But you're only a cheater. Literally a definition. You're
okay,
only a cheater
all right,
if you
okay,
get
all
caught.
right, okay. But what I'm saying, yeah. So you
He
wouldn't.
was just a fitter cheater than everybody else. Is what I'm
Okay,
saying.
but no,
because,
my
like,
point is, your argument there was like, oh, but everyone does it. 95% of the community does it. It's like, it still doesn't make it
that's
right.
not an argument sort of for it. I'm just simply saying
Right,
that's
okay.
how prevalent it
Yeah,
is in the
Okay.
Pokemon
Oh, okay.
community.
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
because it is like you have all these people like on the communities online, and they're like, well, he beat me because he genned his Pokemon. No, he didn't. He beat you because he was better at the fucking game than you are.
I totally see what you're saying.
But
I
would
totally
he
see
have?
what you're
Because he
saying.
possibly wouldn't have been playing that guy, because his Pokemon would have been shithouse, because he'd only put 3 hours into a 15-hour process. So he wouldn't have beaten that. So he wouldn't have beaten that guy.
So I definitely agree it's grey, but I would say ultimately,
it's a grey area.
If you're modding outside of what the game allows, and I'm glad that they've changed it, because that is just bad game design.
No, I mean, people still do. People still, because once the doors open,
oh yeah,
now,
that's the problem with anything.
Once you've given people the ability to do it in 30 seconds, even being able to
Yeah.
go, well, now you can do it in an hour and a half instead of 15 hours, they're going to go,
can't go back.
no, I'm going to do it in 30 seconds. Thank you very much.
Pandora's box, isn't it? Once it's been opened, all the fucking things come out. So
yeah, I mean, Pokemon was. I've had this discussion with quite a few people in the Pokemon community, because despite the fact that I don't play it competitive anymore, I'm still quite active into it. And yeah, people get really fucking heated about it, sort of both sides. And it's like Nintendo themselves have kind of got a bit lax in terms of checking for it, because all they really check for now is, are all your Pokemon within the parameters for those Pokemon? Because you're seeing in world tournaments now, there's Pokemon with specific moves that are in Pokeballs that they can't be in, because of the nature of like how Pokeballs are passed down when you're breeding and stuff like that. It's like that is not possible unless you have externally modified that Pokemon, but it passed Nintendo's hack check. And you can go onto YouTube and you can watch it. You can watch this geezer with a Pokeball, with an illegal Pokeball sort of combination. It's crazy, man. I will say that's how sort of prevalent it is in the sort of Pokemon community.
I will say, being that we've just mentioned that like cheating in video games involves video game player using various methods to create an advantage beyond normal gameplay, right, which is the general definition of cheating in video games. So not going on about Pokemon, but have you noticed that cheating's only cheating unless the company don't charge you to increase your own ability? such as because we were talking about obviously dev practices. And obviously, so to get an advantage in something like Assassin's Creed, you can pay $15 and they will give you a boost to your experience burn.
Yeah. Well,
So-
that's an interesting thing in terms of like single player cheats.
I was going to say it's a single player game. It's not a multiplayer game, is it?
Yeah, single player
You
cheats
pay
is
for
something
it.
I have
That's
no
what I was-
issue for.
Right, okay.
They're not something I've ever really paid too much attention to, apart from GTA, because they're fucking
I
hilarious.
cheated the shit out of fucking
Yeah, the hell out of
GTA.
GTA. Single player games, do whatever the fuck you like with, because it doesn't impact anybody else in any way, shape, or form. It's your game. Whatever. If you want to run around with a giant head and infinite rocket launcher at level 1, fucking you
Okay.
do you, champ. You know what I mean?
Just while we're on this
crack the
post,
fuck on.
just while we're on this notion, I just want to mention because it's prevalent. What do you agree then in the practice of when you do cheats in your single player games that they disable the achievements, which the little
yeah.
bonuses that they give you in a game for going, oh, well done, you finished this level.
Yeah,
or,
I
"Well done, you
was
killed
just
50 people."
about to say, like, conversely, while I've just says, yeah, I'm all for cheats. On the flip side, don't be fucking playing modded Dark Souls on the PC with God mode on, going, rah, I'm bad, I finished Dark Souls.
You know that?
Fuck you. No,
I'll have none of that.
dickhead.
I'll have none of that nonsense.
Yeah,
The mods I
yeah,
use are
I
strictly visual.
hate pain. I hate pain in you. Oh, I did Sekiro. I did a no-hit run of Sekiro. Yeah, because you turned the clipping off. You fuck
Yeah.
nugget. Now piss off.
And I felt like a boss doing it.
Yeah, yeah. Fucking, I ain't having that sort of shit. You know.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I did give Jay shit. I don't know if Jay remembers this. Jay was
I get
playing
loads of
Resident
shit.
Evil Village with
Oh, yes,
a little bit of
that's right.
unlimited ammo going on. I was like, "What's this, Jay? What's this?
Painful.
What are you doing, Jay?" And
Yeah.
Jay's like, "I just want an easy. Like, I just want to
Exactly.
play the
I
game
finished this
and
game.
enjoy myself." I'm like, "Yeah, fucking cheating."
Yeah.
But
I did
Yeah,
that.
no.
to be fair,
just-
I depending on the game, I think like okay, so I'm just extending cheating in that sense to glitches, abusing
Okay.
in-game glitches. There is a game that's just come out that me and Jay are playing, Sons of the Forest, that there is a couple of glitches which enable you to get like almost infinite logs. Now you use logs to build the main
I did that by
aspect.
mistake the other day, and I was like, "Have I got infinite locks?"
Well, there is obviously building is a part of the aspect of the game, but it's not the main part of the story. It's just it's you can build a base and whatnot and everything, but it's not the main part of the story. It's just like
In fact, if anything, the more base building you do, the harder the game's going to get for you.
yeah,
The more of them enemies you kill.
because you spend more time doing that, and what you don't realize is as the days and days go on, it gets harder and harder because more enemies come into your area and everything. But anyway, and there are glitches there that it's so long, tedious, and arduous to build anything of any substantial note in that game, even with Kelvin, that using a glitch, do you see using that as cheating? Is abusing a glitch cheating?
I suppose
Yes. Yes,
it is because simply
is.
the whole point of that experience is to try and quickly build while being under
Yeah.
threat.
My stamina
all the
bar
time.
don't last long enough. I'm gonna fucking not use it.
I would. It depends on right. I think it's a bit of a grey area
Yeah.
because if there's say a game like I'm gonna fuck it. I've bullied it a lot the last couple of weeks. Assassin's Creed, right? Say there's Assassin's Creed, yeah, and there's this huge gulf of 30 levels. Between me finishing most of the story content and me unlocking, the post-game shit. And the only way to do that is through this really long, tedious grind. If I find a glitch that fucking gives me like 7 times the XP for doing mundane tasks, oh boy, howdy, I'm rinsing the shit out of that because you made your game a grind. If your content was fucking interesting, I'd have played through all of it.
That is kind of like with the Sons of the Forest thing, because it is like you cut down one tree, you get 4 logs to build like a small hut. It's 40 odd logs.
Yeah.
And like, bear in mind, you've got to do that like along with everything else. If you want to build something that looks like a little bit epic, then good fucking luck.
See, but in that game though, I would argue that the collection and the grind for the resources, that is a core part of the game.
Oh, it is, but I think in terms of food, like my only thing is the logs. It isn't with anything else, food, weaponry, anything else like that. It is just solely for building your base. I would abuse that glitch all the time.
Oh yeah.
But I wouldn't for anything else, and I wouldn't use anything else which is going to aid me in the story portion of the game.
Yeah.
That's going to drive the game forward in that aspect. It's just the biggest grind in that game is building a base. So if I can make that a little bit less, if I like, remember we were talking about, you said you not enough time, not enough hours. You know, we've got adult shit to do.
Yeah.
I could come on, spend 4 hours on Sons of the Forest, and I've actually done fuck all except put up a wall.
It's true.
Yeah.
So
Easy done. That game does not respect your life.
That's what I mean by that aspect. Is it like it's not, like I say, you're not progressing the story. You're just having a little bit of fun with the building mechanics that are in the game. But whether or not, like I say, that game's early access, that they've got an update coming out, they'll probably remove it and piss everyone off. And I'll go back to cutting down one tree at a fucking time.
Love it.
but like trying to think of, because a lot of games these days I play, they don't actually have cheats in them, like unless you pay for them.
If you're a console player, you can't fucking cheat for love nor money.
Yeah, and it's like the last one I played that had quite a heavy sort of lot of cheats in it was Doom Eternal, and that was sort of I'd never in a million years dream of using it on a playthrough. But then when, say, I want to go back and clean up a level, and 100% and get all the secrets or something like that. Yeah, fuck it, I'm putting God mode on, I'm putting infinite ammo on, and all you pricks that fucking, made me like piss with sweat and shake with adrenaline by the time I'd finished with you. Nah, I'm having an easy time, man. I'm pushing all your shit in,
Right, we're all old-ish folk. So, do you cast your minds back? Do you remember when you could pay for cheats in the form of a game genie?
Yes.
And you would literally have to physically clock that thing into your cartridge.
Yep.
Usually.
Yeah, and you'd have to buy like little books or Games Master magazine, and they'd have Game Genie codes for the upcoming games. So it'd be like your DLC came in fucking magazines, that you'd have to get every month. And then every 6 months, Games Master or fucking Edge or whatever, they'd release like a little shitty softback book that would just have an A to Z of games in the last 18 months.
And you
all
just
the
rush
Game
through it and
Genie
go,
codes, man.
Hold on, I can have flying mode.
It was Game Genie, and then Action Replay came in and really took over.
Yeah, they're the one. Yeah, I remember Action Replay. Yeah,
Action Replay.
But then that's a whole other thing, because then it moved into things that you could do. Like when you got to sort of the DS era, the Action Replay cards just turned into, actually, we're just going to let you pirate video games.
Yeah. Yes. Inevitably, that's what it always boils down to.
Yeah.
So, that all being said, I think the natural step that came, I think it was Game Genie and Action Replay that actually encouraged more of a modding community, because obviously they would basically debug codes that you were putting in.
It's like gaming is such a weird, like, I'm glad cheats are a thing in gaming, because gaming is such a weird fucking medium, particularly now that it's like, a narrative sort of driven medium on a par with sort of, well, fuck on a par, it's way bigger than Hollywood, like gaming as an industry brings in more than Hollywood and sports every year combined, which is just outrageous when you think how big fucking sports is anyway. But gaming's such a weird sort of fucking storytelling narrative, in that its skill caps its story. So unless you're actually mechanically good at a fucking video game, like, you can't experience the story of a game.
Yeah,
that's why YouTube exists, so kids. That's why.
Yeah. Well, that is why, like I think cheats became like a big thing, particularly back in the early days, because people wanted to play video games, but they were just too fucking hard.
Yeah, man. I remember like side-scrolling days were some rough days.
Remember trying to play Lion King on the Mega Drive? That shit was rough as
savage,
fuck, man.
Or even
Monkey level,
savage.
Oh.
Or like
any Disney game, savage.
Yeah.
Like you had Sonic the Hedgehog. You had like special codes that you could put in, like when the title screen
up, down, left, right,
yeah.
The level select, and then you can get the debug menu. If you do up, C down, C left, C right, C A start.
Don't forget the Konami
code.
code.
Sound test, and you could turn yourself into all the different items. Not that I played that game a lot or anything.
Don't forget you got the Konami code, which started from Contra, or was the Contra code. So there's loads of things that exist and literally exist through pop culture. That things like the Konami code. I mean, I think it was Prey because they pay homage to the BioShock series, that they kept one of the codes, which is then came up with an achievement, saying this code again, and it's because the code's from System Shock or something, like the first code that you come in. I can't
You,
fully
the old
remember.
Doom game where you pull down the console and you type some shit in and your geezer would have God mode and his eyes would go gold and you just go
I think like
fuck all the demons
that was
up.
back in the day when like putting cheats on in PC was as much easy as pressing console and going God mode.
Yeah, God mode on. Bad.
Well, you look at how prevalent it is now. You've got stuff like WeMod and stuff, which you know, it's literally you try and find a game that isn't on fucking like WeMod. If you're on a
in terms
PC.
of cheating, then so what about things like Cronus controllers? You know, where you can set you can set like macros and stuff like that onto
Well,
it.
actually, I got a little bit of interesting point on
me and Jay obviously
first-person shooters and stuff are
we're quite heavily Apex players, and Apex is rife with that sort
of shit. Well, the only reason I know about this is because of like seeing clips of like this person cheats and this person uses a Kronos. And I'm like, what the fuck is a Kronos? And then I've actually looked into what it is, and I'm like,
yeah, you see it so much for Apex because there's so much like the skill ceiling for just movement in Apex is fucking astronomical. You know, it's like there isn't in terms of like just pure movement skill. Like there isn't another shooter that comes anywhere even remotely fucking close to like the amount of techniques you can do. And yeah, you do see a lot of people that use like those sorts of controllers with, you know, where they've mapped things like there's a technique called super gliding where fucking when you peek up a ledge as you're climbing up it, you jump and crouch at the same time and you just go sliding forward. It makes you really difficult to aim at. You know, that's quite difficult to do just on a controller. That's like a multitude of button presses. Well, people just have a Kronos and they map it to one of the back triggers. You know.
There you go. Here's another one. Yeah, like the new. Like obviously, you could buy custom controllers back in the day, right? But now you've even got like your mainstay company, Sony, Microsoft, releasing like pro controllers with rear triggers, can reach back paddles on controllers.
Yes.
They should be mandatory. Like, yeah, me and you were saying a couple of weeks ago that fucking you know, controllers go through the evolution. So it started with the dial, then it was a joypad, then you added D-pads, then it became analog sticks, then it became wireless. You know, position of analog sticks, triggers, all these back pedals are one of them things that just should be a thing by now.
But the thing is,
they shouldn't be relegated to pro controllers. They should be a thing.
This is the thing. It's like there's a gap in the market which was filled by aftermarket companies who were making controllers, modded controllers with like paddles and stuff. And now like the major companies have gone like, oh yeah, this is another revenue stream. So let's release our pro controller. And what are we in the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox? Whatever
Series X.
So which is what iteration of the Xbox? So we're now talking like it's taken them this long, and they're now like, oh yeah, this is a game changer, but we're going to put it behind a paywall of another £30 or £40 on top of what it is for a basic controller. So once again, your barrier for entry is like set up here.
That's not specifically a new thing though, because
no, it's not. But I'm just going back to what you were saying earlier about like you said about the exclusively rich people in terms of time. I'm talking about like we'll go for this is for the exclusively rich people in terms of money. You like your 12-year-old who wants to play Fortnite and like, Mum, I want this. But hang on, this controller here, and this is 60 or 50 quid. This one's 100 quid. Like, no, you can have the 50 quid.
You go back to. I mean, some other companies have done some truly heinous examples, like Sony PS1. You know, everyone forgets that like the system didn't launch with analog controllers. That came later.
Yeah, it was D-pad.
You know, and if you wanted to play Ape Escape, which was a fucking sick game as well back in the day, you had to have an analog controller, which was like what, 60 quid back in the day. You know, Nintendo, you did it with fucking. There wasn't many of them, but there were a few new 3DS exclusive games. So you know, there were games released that you might have bought a fucking a brand new, but not a new 3DS, but a new 3D.
Great
You get what
marketing
I'm trying
name.
to say?
What is it? It's the new 3DS. Well,
Yeah,
no, but I bought
fucking.
a new 3DS. And goes, no. This is the
new
new
Yeah,
3DS.
3DS.
so yeah, last month's new 3DS. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And fund you couldn't play this,
Yeah.
Monster Hunter or something stupid like that. It's like ridiculous.
Like I say, I think you find that in most things. I mean, like I suspect that. Karen.
No, sorry, I just smacked my microphone. I was just going to say, but is it fair? Like we're talking about fair. We're talking about fairness here, like in terms of like cheating and stuff. This isn't cheating because it's a product that is actually given to us by the company that make the console, make the game.
Yeah.
But like you want to play Apex and you've got
I'll
your
be honest.
rudimentary controller and you've got one
I've
with
got
paddles.
one.
Look at you prick! You've got paddles. I don't have paddles. No
got one.
Yeah, I think
wonder
I've
I
had a
suck at
controller as
Apex.
well.
But do
Right.
you know what I mean? So I'm instantly in a disadvantage to you. Is that fair?
I don't think it is fair.
Skill
but
level, like if we're equal to skill, how much? Okay, I don't know because I don't play first-person shooters. I've never had a paddled controller. How much better or how much of an advantage is a paddled controller, like a pro controller, as opposed to a standard? If we're both at the same level, skill-wise.
Right. So, okay, you know how you hold a controller and how your thumb controls your face buttons as well as your analog sticks.
Yeah.
So imagine if you never had to take your thumb off the right stick, but you could still access the face buttons. So you'd have a massive advantage because you're always aiming.
Yeah, you're always being able to move, aren't you?
So that's actually quite a considerable advantage.
Yeah, it's a massive advantage because I can jump with my back two fingers, and while I'm jumping, I can still aim my stick and make choices to slide, to reload, to change weapon, and I never have to lose the button, which is where I'm.
Whereas,
my aim
like,
is.
I've taught myself to do that on a controller without paddles. But it it's called playing claw, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like I play like that.
Yeah.
So
you've got
okay, so
an
you've got
extra
they use this finger to.
Yeah, for them, but that's not comfortable, and that playing a lot of games like that throughout the years is one of the reasons why I'm suffering quite crippling arthritis in my hands these days. You know what I mean? So
also means
it's not only health, it's also
means
health
I'm just going to throw this out there. That also means you a boss and Jay a bitch.
Jay's played his years of claw. I haven't had these. I haven't had these.
Jay's done his time. All it means is
jest.
Rich hasn't got to the point where he's got that level of disposable income for a controller.
See,
yeah, that's all, man.
But let's put things out like I've got too much money. Don't be doing that.
In a sense, it's not cheating, but it gives people a distinct advantage.
Yeah,
what massive advantage.
But like, it's also like. That's quite an interesting one because fighting games as well, you can also ask the question in fighting games because I don't think it's not a competition. A fight stick is a better input for a fighting game than a controller. It just is, just end of story.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean with a fight stick? It's like part of an arcade cabinet basically. So you have the joystick.
Ellie's tap right to move. Yeah, tap.
Yeah. Like that, just like a portable one. You know, you watch any pro fighting game tournament, everyone brings their own fucking fight stick.
I suppose
again.
Sorry, finish your thing and I'll come in.
I was just going to say again, is that a case of that's a barrier to entry, or is that something you get when you get to that level? Do you know what I mean?
I suppose in a sense you could say it pretty much it covers. It's not just this is just a new thing, these paddle controllers, because you've had steering wheel and pedals for racing games. Jay has
harder than using pad.
Jay's got flight sticks.
I have, and steering wheel.
But I'm just using that, for let's say if you play a space multiplayer, your sticks I would imagine are better than a controller.
You could argue
it's immersion. It's immersion.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
You could argue
I don't play either. I don't play racing games and stuff or space games.
Mouse and keyboard will always be better than everything simply because the amount of movement you get on a mouse compared to what you get on a stick, you just won't be. And that's the same for flight sticks.
I was exactly about to say, like, you don't buy flight sticks or like a steering. You know those people that have got their Mac fucking driving setups with the big ass chair and the steering wheel and the pedals and the
screens
clutch and
going all the way
everything.
around.
Yeah, they're not doing it to win races in Forza. They're doing it for
the immersion.
to
Okay,
have their headphones in and playing against. You know what I mean? The hardest difficulty.
They want to be Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, exactly that. You know, the people that have the giant spaceship things, it's not because they're dogfighting, it's because, it is because they are dogfighting and stuff, but it's bigger than that. It's like they want to feel the fucking thing.
Exactly. I want to feel like I'm in space flying around.
In terms of like, so back paddles, like, I know I will be better. It's, you know, you give me a controller with back paddles, you get rid of the 2-week sort of adjustment period, I'm instantly better at Apex, like 100%. I know that. Like, Jay knows that, you know that I will get better at the game just because of that.
Yes.
However, it's one of those things where I don't play enough or seriously enough really for me to warrant spending the money on that. Whereas if I was going to actually go, do you know what, fuck it, I'm going to start streaming, I'm going to stream Apex 4 nights a week, I'm going to take this shit seriously, I'm going to sweat ranked, I would go and buy one. You know.
Then it kind of makes sense, because you're treating the game a little bit more seriously than just a mess about with.
So I'd argue
friend.
the people that have the fight sticks and have those sort of controllers, it's because that they're more likely to be of quite an advanced skill level anyway.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you know?
Yeah. Like I say, it's like I say, I got the paddles because I felt at a disadvantage because I can't play mouse and keyboard. And I know that there's a massive argument about auto aim, which will bring me into my little point. I just want to talk about what kind of cheating that you can find in online games, because we've briefly gone over it, but I just thought we'd just give the listeners and viewers just a brief rundown. Cheating exists in many multiplayer video games. While there have been a lot of cheat codes and other ways to make single-player games easier, developers often attempt to prevent it in multiplayer games. With the release of the first popular internet multiplayer games, cheating took on new dimensions. Previously, it was rather easy to see if other players cheated, as most games were played on local networks or consoles. The internet changed that by increasing the popularity of multiplayer games, giving players relatively anonymity, and giving people an avenue to communicate cheats. Examples of cheats in first-person shooters include the aimbot, which people who play Apex accuse controller players of all the time, which assists the player in aiming at the target, giving the user an unfair advantage. The wall hack, which is another popular one in Apex and most first-person shooters, which allows people to see through solid or opaque objects and or manipulate and remove textures. The ESP, with which the information of other players is displayed. There are also cheats that increase the size of the enemy's hitbox. So if you don't know what a hitbox is, basically when I aim my gun at Rich's character, there will be hitboxes around all parts of him in varying degrees where it'll do more damage, mainly the head, because it's the weak point. What they do is they expand your hitbox to a massive degree, so even if they're completely whiffing past Rich's head, he's taking full damage.
There.
Yeah. Is it? And you sent a match.
They've expanded my hitbox, and my hitbox isn't level with my shoulder. My hitbox is fucking here. Yeah. So, like, they don't have to hit me. They can hit there, and it's still doing damage.
So, which would generally result in a miss, but the game would detect as a hit. Unlike trading games, create multiple accounts by jailbreaking devices to get more rewards to be considered cheating, because it isn't unfair to players who only have one account. I suppose, like, that's up to you if you want to waste that much time, personally. In online multiplayer games, people use macro scripts, as we discussed earlier, which automate player actions to automatically find items, defeat enemies for the player's advantage. Prevalence of massive multiplayer online games, MMORPGs such as World of Warcraft, Anarchy Online, EverQuest, Guild Wars, and RuneScape have resulted in trading of in-game currency for real-world currency. Do you remember when all that was going on? When Warcraft and Diablo, people were literally using gold in-game and trading it for real money in the world on eBay and stuff. That is crazy.
I don't know. It was something hilarious. Like, I don't know if you ever watched The Big Bang Theory.
Yes.
There was an episode. I can't remember what they're playing. I think it must have been like WoW. And
yeah, probably was.
You've got Sheldon had They went and defeated a boss or whatever. You didn't see them doing it. They're just all sitting around the table. And Howard, no, I think it was Sheldon has got the sword and he's like, I am the sword master or whatever.
Yeah.
Whacks it up on eBay straight away. And Howard buys it. And Howard's like, I am now the sword master. And you're just like, it's a hilarious little moment of just like you say there, making like in-game currency, like being able to exchange it for real world, I never got into that. I'd be rich now if I was, because I'm an ace gamer.
I was going to say, man, fuck it, nice hustle if you've got it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just what I'm sort of boiling down to is now that, like, obviously in like games, especially DVD, Apex and stuff, you'll always see that anti-cheat software popping up first.
Yeah, but it's shit.
Doesn't work.
But it's so bad.
I literally uploaded a TikTok video on
I saw this
Wednesday. I am running to put someone on a hook, and someone comes literally Blanca style barrel rolling past me into a wall, and then they jump back through the wall and stop me getting but I had to slow it down to 0.25 to actually be able to see what they were doing, because it was just a blur. And I was like, what the fuck? Did that person just come out the wall? And then it was like slow. I replayed it on stream, dropped it down to 0.25, and you could see them like go into the wall and then jump back out. And it was like, motherfucker,
So, I mean, essentially, like, obviously, there's a lot of this anti-cheat software, but obviously, no one really, I don't know who's got it right, because I know that Warzone 2 is still prevalent with cheaters. I could guarantee you there's still people, and we witnessed some people cheating in Apex. Remember that time when we was going, look at him, we watched him for a while, he was going, he is pre-aiming where he can't possibly know that there's somebody there. We couldn't see it in our screen, but
there's actually a worrying thing that's become for streamers. I don't know how much. I'm not part of the Apex community, but I don't know if you know anything of this happening or with like the COD or anything. But there is recently a big thing within the DBD community where top streamers were being affected. So there was like a spreadsheet. Someone had made a spreadsheet of all top level DVD players, and how to get into their streams, and it was pretty much a white paper put out there for hackers to be able to go and make sure they got into the lobbies of streamers when they were live to grief them. And it became quite a big issue for several of the really larger streamers. We know someone, Jay, who got it quite a bit. Their name was on one of these lists.
True Talent got it as well.
I'm not fucking good enough to get on one of these lists. So
lies, TJ's lies, mate. They just haven't. I'm too good.
I'm too good. No. So and I don't know if that's, but cheating is becoming, especially in this time where like streaming, like Twitch, YouTube, Facebook gaming has become massive. It seems like cheating is at an all-time high in terms of just trying to ruin people's fun. It's become less of a tool to win a game, to more to disrupt and
trolling.
Trolling. Yeah, exactly. That's the word.
Trolling's such a prevalent thing on the internet anyway. There are people that just go out, and it doesn't matter what their beliefs are, but if someone puts an opinion up, they just purposely counter it.
They even if they don't believe the argument they're putting forward, they just want to throw a grenade.
They want to wind you up
and step back and watch the shit.
And then a second, like, you try and if they say something too harsh, again, there's a lot of harsh people on the internet, guys. Let me just tell you, folks, if you're watching and listening, don't do that. That's a dick move.
Don't be a dick. It's not hard.
It's just a dick move. Just you don't agree with someone, shut up about it.
Yeah.
Don't really matter.
Well, after game chatting, DBD is shows that.
Well, I think that rolls around to the general point, which is just like, if you want to cheat and have a laugh in your own game, fine. Just don't be a dick and ruin shit for other people.
This is why, I think solo player games, it's completely up to you whether or not you believe that you should or shouldn't get the achievements.
Dude, I think everyone's entitled to a good experience of video game, and if your good experience is putting infinite lives on and getting through the whole story and enjoying it, I got no issue.
As long as your experience doesn't affect the experience of others, which is difficult to say because how you in turn play the game also affects how someone else has their enjoyment. But at least, so you could go out of your way in certain games to to actually target and cause as much distress for someone inside the video game, depending on what video game it is, without cheating. But then to then put cheating on top of that as well, it's just, it's
dick move.
Yeah, I mean, the first point's a dick move. Just going out of your way to try and fuck with someone else in a video game for shits and giggles for yourself, that's a dick move in itself. But then it hits a new height and a new level when you're when you're doing it via cheating.
That's it. I mean, and as for hunting streamers down to ruin their fun and disrupt their community, thank God for banning. But more games need to understand that streaming has become a thing, and they need to protect certain streamers. Obviously, no one's doing it to me, no one's doing it to you, Teach. But essentially, some of the biggest streamers who that's their job.
It's their livelihood.
Like keep in mind, kids, you might not like that they make millions and millions of pounds from people watching them, but they are providing entertainment.
Mate, we're not even talking that level. We're not even we're talking streamers who literally. We're not talking millions and millions of viewers. We're talking, let's say they're a 5K, got 5K viewership, which when you actually work out the fundamentals of what you get paid from Twitch, which is a 50-50 revenue share, used to be 70-30, but that's 50-50. Fuck the ad incentive program, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But to earn money is harder now as a Twitch streamer, and so. To then go in, and what you do see, and this is the problem, is people get associated with a game. So they are like, I'll pick my game, Otstarver, like Nick Merckx plays Apex, right?
Yeah.
He's just the biggest one I know.
I'm here, TJ. Just
right, Nick Merckx, the biggest one I know. I'm doubling down. Let's say Nick Merckx decides, fuck, I'm getting trolled, I'm getting cheated, I'm gonna go off and play, I don't know, Zelda, completely off the thingy. And then Odstarver from the DBD community, obviously like 10,000 people watching him. He goes off and plays Elden Ring. He will have a massive knock-on effect because there are people that watch him for the game he plays. So if he can't play the game he plays because of hackers and cheaters, then he's going to lose viewership, which means he's going to lose revenue, which has a knock-on effect to to his livelihood.
His livelihood and stuff.
So not only that, but it's how much he can put back to his own community.
Yeah.
I assume that like big streamers, what they do is, yes, they earn a lot of money, but I'll tell you as a small streamer, TJ, I'll tell you as him as a small streamer, that a lot of the money the little bit of money that we earn just goes back into, to buy new equipment,
games,
to pay fees, buy new games, give rewards to your community because you want to support them and you want them to support you. So to take, it's just a shitty thing to do for your mild bit of pleasure to your. I suppose they may have their own community. I know that there was a toxic time in DBD where there was a lot of hostility between people, and streamers were getting their communities to raid other communities and do.
Well, hate raids become prevalent. I mean, that wasn't just a DBD issue. That was just a Twitch issue.
The only one I knew to was the DBD thing.
Yeah, the
hate
raiding was another, but once again that's another topic for another day. That's because that had some really bad connotations to it and what people were actually trying to do, because it was once again targeting for the most part a minority group of people. So
but we'll get into that another. Well, we'll talk about streaming as in a subject one day. But like I say, it's just so just going back to our whole point, like cheating. Although I totally understand that why some people like to dick around with it, right? And it's the same as modding in a certain degree. Everyone puts a mod on a game to just have a bit of fun, but it should be your fun. It shouldn't, like you say, I think we've all agreed, it shouldn't come at the cost of other people's fun. If you want to do it and you're a streamer and you're doing a mod run because it's funny that to play as Homer Simpson,
or single player game, do whatever the fuck you like. It's on you. Who cares?
I'm totally for you do what you want. Like in your single player game, it's your experience. Like if you want to, some would say tarnish it with cheats and not feel this way. But say you're a player like me. When I played Resident Evil 8 with the cheats on it. It's because, like, look, guys, I'll be honest with you. I finished this game on my own, where I've got through all this. I've rebought it. I bought this because I actually want to get through it because I actually wanted to just do the DLC. But I knew that I wanted to do the whole.
You wanted a chilled game.
Yeah, that's it. Sometimes I put cheats on because I'm like, guys, be honest, like, it's a fun game, but it's more fun for me at this point in its life when I use cheats and I just blow people's heads off. Is it skill? No, but it's Resident Evil. How much skill do you think I actually fucking need to do it? So, you know. But anyway.
Can I just start one thing as we're tailing this off to an end? Do you guys remember the first game you used a cheat or a mod on?
No.
You
I'm
don't.
old, man. I don't.
I know mine, and I know mine because I spoke about this the other day.
Go on, then.
So, no. It might, once again, you may class this as a cheat, you may not class it as a cheat. I spoke about it on stream the other day. It's Metal Gear Solid, right? So it was Metal Gear Solid. And it was so I played the game. I completed the game in 2 days. It came out round about my birthday. I ended up getting it, completed it in 2 days. Stayed at a friend's house, completed it in 2 days. And there is that scene with Revolver Ocelot where he's torturing you, and you've got to like play the fucking, you've got to have the soup, like Usain Bolt fingers.
Also, flow controller.
Yeah. So the first time I did it, I gave up in the torture because I was like, my fingers aren't fast enough. And so I gave up, and so you get the bandana, don't you? I believe you get the bandana which is technically infinite ammo while you're wearing the bandana. But there is a second ending where if you survive the torture, you get Otacon Grey Fox's cloak that Otacon gives you. Put it on, makes you like Predator, invisible. I used I purposely went and got an auto fire controller to get past that because I couldn't do it.
Paid real money.
That's cheats. You cheated.
He did.
It's like using paddles. What are you on about?
Yeah, you cheated.
But as like I'd already completed the game. Like I couldn't.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
This is no. This is my reasoning at the time. It's like I can't complete the
physically
game.
Do it.
I couldn't physically do it. I must have tried X amount of times. I just couldn't do it. So for me, it was a case of if I ever want to see this ending, this is what I'm going to have to do.
That was the point I mentioned earlier in that games are the only entertainment medium that does that. Like, if you want to see this storyline or this ending to the conclusion, you have to be this good. And if you're not this good, tough shit, you're not seeing it.
I still don't know a man. Jay reckons, he did it, but I don't know a man alive that had that faster fingers.
I did.
Nah, I don't believe either of you fuckers.
I get it, and I'll do it now.
Trust me.
Do it now.
I'll tell you how we did it. Because we grew up on a lot of track and field.
Yeah, I grew up on track and field on the NES, bro. Like, you don't even know. When you've only got 2 buttons, hammering the pair of them really quickly is pretty integral to a lot of games.
All I'm going to say is, congratulations to your wife and girlfriends.
Oh, they have a good time. Well, they did. I was going to say that I think my first game, if I remember, and I don't know whether it was cheating, because it was in the game. Do you remember in Super Mario Brothers 3 when you could jump
Whistles.
up?
He was an early cheater. He was an early cheater.
Yeah, do you remember?
I'd finished the game, but then I'd heard about a level skip, and I was like, "Can I?"
Yeah, I remember you do all 3, and you do them one straight after the other, and you can get straight to World 8.
Yeah, that's it. You could skip the whole game. There was something in. Was it Super Mario World as well? There was, I don't know if it was Whistles. It was Star Road, and that was accessible.
And that
but
was
there was loads. Yeah, Star Road was savage.
Star Road was rough,
I mean, I may have cheated earlier. But in actual fact, no. Probably the first game I've ever probably cheated on technically would be Sonic because I definitely used the codes in Sonic to fucking jump into different levels. But in terms of Metal Gear Solid, I'd say is the one. Yeah.
You know what I did once actually thinking about it. So there was a long time ago when. There wasn't saves per se, but you had a code. And I remember I rented a game called, I think it was Merlin's Quest on the SNES. And someone had rented it before and started putting these codes, and I couldn't get past a certain part. And I was like, I'm just going to check some of these codes out. And I got through that game because I used someone's later
Wow, what, they put it in
code.
the manual or something?
Yeah, in the back.
Wow.
Remember the back?
That's a nice, handy fellow that did that for you, Jay.
It was awesome. I was like, oh, sweet, I got through this.
Okay, let me ask you this then. Do you class it that you have completed that game?
I mean, I don't know because
No.
I still didn't get past the bit that I
Oh,
couldn't
okay,
get past.
okay.
So, but I finished the game.
You
Oh,
saw
right.
the end, but you didn't finish the game.
But I didn't
Right,
do
okay.
that
Yeah.
section.
See, at least with Metal Gear Solid, I completed the game.
Yeah.
Like, I completed the game, like, you know, multiple times, and then I just cheated to get a different ending. But I had
In my
technically completed the game.
In my defense, I was 8 and you were what, 15?
Was it that? Yeah, it probably was actually talking about that, actually. Yeah, see, no, what we're saying is you are a lifelong cheater, and I took up cheating later on in life.
I bet you even looked at Meryl's code, didn't you? Didn't realize it was on the back of the box.
Back of the
Mate, I'm a fucking genius. I was 14, by the way. I'm a fucking genius. Like, I figured all that shit out. And the old switching over port 1 to port 2. I tell you what I did try and do. I tried to play a version of it on the PC through an emulator. I got all the way to Mantis. Game was fucked.
Yeah,
I couldn't do the
you
fucking
couldn't change the
switching over.
controller
Even though
ports.
it gave you the option to switch controller ports, the emulator wouldn't register it. I couldn't play it. Couldn't fucking play it.
No,
And I was streaming it at the
sad
time
with
as well.
boss.
I couldn't stream it past Psycho Mantis. I was well disappointed.
No way.
You can buy it, on I think it's GOG. I think you buy it on GOG, like the official first game. So in Golden Old Game, Golden
I didn't know that.
Golden Old Games.
I mean, this is when I
Playing
first
Gold.
started streaming. This is like a few years ago, but I don't know. But I'm waiting for the remake anyway. They've got to remake it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. There is hints towards that. Is anyone else skeptical about the Silent Hill doodads that they're doing? Like that Ascension, I don't know what that is.
The is it 2 games in a series? A film?
Yeah, the film. All right, well, we'll see.
Because there's 2 games, isn't there? There's the remake and there's like a completely new story or something.
Well, Blooper Team are doing Silent Hill 2. Only concern is basically Team Blooper. I liked Medium, but everyone was taking it as the next Silent Hill, and it didn't do that for me. So I'm just a little concerned on that. Anyway,
they're good at remakes.
So what we're saying is solo play. Do whatever the fuck you want to do. It's your game.
Don't fuck with other people's shit, man.
Yeah, it's your game.
Not so much your
it's
game,
your
it's your
enjoyment.
experience.
You've paid for it, so you get to do whatever the fuck you want to do. Cheat, don't cheat. Fucking burn your game. Whatever you want to fucking do, do it. But yeah, when you're dealing with other people, just be kind. Don't be a douche.
Don't be a knob, man.
Yeah.
Well, just try and think like, all right, if you didn't have cheats, would you enjoy it?
A fuck nugget.
Yes, a fuck nugget, 100%.
Like, don't play if you feel the need to cheat. Just don't play a competitive game then, because you've got no right. Because like the whole point
you've got
is
no
to
skill.
play it to get better.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're not willing to put the work in, don't play the game.
Yeah.
Like, don't drop a 20 bomb on Apex, but then you fucking use hacks to get it because it's worthless. You know, you're not that bragging. You didn't get anything. A program got you that.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
anyone could get that. I could get a program that would get me that. Like, you're not special.
I mean, you will have heard me say it, Rich, definitely. TJ, probably not so much. But if we're playing a a competitive game, and you see someone blatantly cheating, you're going, "What's the point, mate? What is the point?
Yeah.
If you can't play this game and you're cheating to win it, what's the point? Where's the benefit? Like, what have you actually achieved other than proving that you can cheat to victory?"
So I also just think to thing in there that most of the time in my thing, you'd be like with streaming, once again, I'll go in there, it's to get a reaction, especially if you're live. It's to get the reaction from the streamer. That's what it's all about. It isn't the actual the cheating per se isn't the thing. It's the reaction they want to get from the streamer. But that's their point to it, I suppose, isn't it? Which is still, it's a fucking dick move, whatever the way you look at it. But
just a knob thing to do.
I don't get there can't be any sense of feeling of like accomplishment or anything like that. So I've never understood it. Like solo play, you're looking to make your game easier.
Yeah, I get it.
Fine.
Or fun,
That's-
or
yeah,
something,
that's
big
fine.
head mode or
Yeah.
whatever.
That's cool. You've brought the money. You should be able to do what the fuck you like within reason. But yeah, I don't see it being fun, enjoyable. If you've waited to queue to get into a lobby for whatever game you're playing, and then you're just gonna fly around, break this, have that hack. It just seems pointless to me.
Like I say, it's just
Waste of your time, waste of my fucking time. Fuck
Yeah.
off, dickhead.
It's an empty victory.
Yeah.
It's an empty victory. So, right, unless anyone's got any other points, I think we'll cap this bad boy. Right, guys. So, thank you everyone for sticking with us and us going off on bad tangents. We will be back next week with episode 8 of The Last of Us, and I'm sure we'll figure something else that we're going to talk about out. Right, guys. So, this has been Opinions of the Uninformed. I have been Firefly Zero. You can catch me on Twitch. I've been joined by, of course, Rich.
LiveConvoy on Insta. What?
And TJ.
The proper TJ on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and I stream on Twitch as well. Proper TJ on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Yeah, cool. Hope to see you over there.
Right, cool. Catch you all later, kids. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Love ya.
Let me break it all down for you. I ain't never giving up, I ain't never giving up. Taking that crown from you. I ain't worried about you, I ain't never. So let me break it all down for you. I ain't never giving up, I ain't never giving up. I'm taking that crown from you. I ain't worried about you, I ain't here to make